What is it about people that there's this very compelling need to find something out that other people don't know, like the world is flat, like dinosaurs aren't real, like that kind of stuff is very compelling to people.
So what I do in those cases, in the
Bigfoot.
Yeah. So what I do is I would say, instead of debating them, and some of your listeners are listening to this right now, all I would do is say, what is your best single bit of evidence for what you're claiming? And what would it take to show that you're wrong?
Oh, that's an easy one. My best single piece of evidence which supports the fact that the Earth is flat. My best single piece of evidence comes in from a researcher named Jenna Frito. Jenna Frito performed a wonderful experiment not only once, but twice, and in both instances, she got the same result and proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is no curvature upon the Earth. In the experiment that Jenna performed, she stood in the state of New York and looked across Lake Ontario at the Toronto skyline. She was able to see a white building known as the Rogers Centre. Now, the Rogers Centre is only 282 feet tall. Now, at 31 miles away across Lake Ontario, the 282-foot tall Rogers Centre should have been absolutely covered up by the Earth's curvature. But we can clearly still see the Rogers Centre from 31 miles away. We can see the building from top to bottom when the entire building should be covered up by the supposed curvature of the Earth. And here's the kicker, Neil. Not only did she do this experiment once, she did this experiment twice and got the same result both times. And when you can do an experiment yourself that is observable, verifiable, and repeatable, that is indicative of a real scientific experiment, because that's what real science is. It's observable, verifiable, and repeatable. Here's her second experiment. She did the same exact experiment except got a little closer to the edge of the water. Now her observer height is only 6 foot. 6 foot in observer height, and she's looking 31 miles across Lake Ontario at the Toronto skyline, and she's looking at a white building, the Rogers Centre, which is only 282 feet tall. This is a physical impossibility given the current curvature formula and online curvature calculators such as Metabunk. Jenna Frito was able to not only beat the online curvature calculator known as Metabunk, she was able to destroy the online curvature calculator. And she did it twice. So now, Neil, your job is to prove why we can see the Rogers Centre from 31 miles away, even though it should be covered up by the Earth's curvature. And you ask, what would it take to prove me wrong? That would take you giving a verifiable measure of curvature across Lake Ontario.
The Rogers Centre thing clearly is a mirage. Half of it is upside down, like the surrounding buildings. Derp!
Oh, really? Like the surrounding buildings? Where are these upside down buildings that you're talking about? I don't see any upside down buildings in Jenna's video. I see the Rogers Centre right there. It's not upside down. That white building is the Rogers Centre, not upside down. All the buildings around it don't appear to be upside down either. So exactly where does this mirage begin and end, Mick? Because it seems to me it's only in your mind. You're the only one that sees this mirage. Everyone else actually sees the real Rogers Centre. Yeah, that's right. There she is at the water's edge. And when she zooms in, you know what we're all going to see? The Rogers Centre. It's not a mirage, Mick. You know damn well it's not a mirage. And you're a huge loser for going around and telling everyone it's a mirage, and you're looking really desperate in doing so. Once again, buildings. Are any of them upside down? No. So what does that make you? That makes you a bold-faced, no-good, cowardly piece of shit liar.
That's a singular event.
I have no other conversation with him.
That's a singular event, which you could say in one way or another. Like, it is possible that someone could fake a singular event. They can't fake whether or not the world's flat, right? Like, that, to me, is the scariest one. That there's so many people out there that believe the world is flat. Because you could literally see the curvature of the Earth from a plane.
Now, when we use our senses that we were created with, we can see that the horizon is horizontal. Think of that. Horizon. Horizontal. They don't call it the curvizon, do they? That's because no matter how high you go, the horizon is always flat and horizontal, and it rises with you to your eye level. This would be impossible if the Earth was a sphere or an oblate spheroid or a pear. Because if the Earth was indeed a sphere, an oblate spheroid, or in your case, a pear, that means as you gained altitude, you would have to look downward in order to see the horizon. However, this does not match our everyday experiences. If we were to get in a hot air balloon together, Neil, and we were to go up there, the horizon would be flat and level. Hey, speaking of level, have you ever been to the ocean, the sea? They call it sea level for a reason. They don't say sea curve, do they? In fact, it doesn't matter whether you're at sea level or on top of Mount Everest. Whether you're looking out the window of an airplane, or if you send up a balloon 100,000 feet above the Earth, that horizon is flat. Hard evidence that the Earth is not curving in any way.
Stupidly obvious proofs that we're not on the flat Earth is that if you get three people, you stand one of them at the bottom of South Africa, one of them at the bottom of South America, one of them in Australia, and have them all look south from that position. Now, on the flat Earth, you got one person here, one person here, one person here, and if they all look south, like away from the North Pole, they're all looking in completely different directions. But in the real world, what do they actually see? They all see the exact same constellation, the Southern Cross, right in front of them. So they're all looking in different directions on the flat Earth, but on the round Earth, they're all just looking towards the Southern Cross. So
Right. Now, you know, I personally haven't been down there to each of the continents in the Southern Hemisphere flat, and I haven't seen the Southern Cross myself. But I notice a lot of globetards cling to that Southern Cross like, I can see the stars go this way around the cross and then they go the other way around Polaris. So flat Earth debunked. Not so fast. You can't keep pointing at stuff in the sky and acting like that gives you a verifiable measurement of proof of curvature right here on the ground you live on. This is where we live. We won't have any arguments if you can just provide me the verifiable measurement of curvature. Shoot a laser across the bay. Here in San Francisco, or here where I live in California, you can go to San Francisco. Shoot a laser across the bay. It's miles and miles long in parts across the bay. If you can show me the actual curvature drop across there with a laser, I'd love to see it. But quit pointing in the sky and being like, oh, star trails, that way. And then the star trails go that way the other way. So what? Tell me how that proves curvature. Oh, if you have people stand here and here and here and look at the stars, well, that means the flat Earth map must be wrong. Yeah, well, guess what? A lot of us don't agree with that map to begin with. There's not just one map. I know there's the azimuthal equidistant map, which is popular with many flat earthers, but I personally don't use that map as my end-all be-all. I don't think it's accurate. And personally, I think it was handed to us to not be accurate on purpose. So you might debunk the flat earth map. And I've seen people do a pretty good job at debunking that map. But one thing they don't ever do is show us that verifiable measurement of curvature that always stumps them. So they're gonna cling to, look, the stars go that way, the stars go that way. Look, round planets. Look, the moon has a shadow on it. Yeah, up there, look up there, look up there. Yeah, down here is where the proof is. And that's where we got you guys beat. We proved that down here there's no curvature. So it really doesn't fucking matter what that map looks like. It really doesn't matter where someone stands and what thing they can see in the sky. Those are problems I would like to figure out. But if I don't have them figured out, I still know that the earth below me is flat. There's a lot of things I'll admit that I can't totally explain, but they don't change the fact that the ground below me doesn't have any curvature.
What you're saying?
It's literally impossible to do that on the flat Earth.
Right, and you can actually see this and take photographs of the
Yeah.
constellations and compare them.
Yeah, and that's something I was talking about with the ground truth thing with stellarium. Like you could go virtually yourself to these places and see what the sky looks from that position. So either stellarium is lying, or these, the Southern Cross does actually appear from these three different positions.
Well, that's another thing that these flat Earth people keep bringing up is Polaris. The idea that this one star stays put,
That's a great one.
and that all these other stars rotate around it, and that this is somehow or another proof that the Earth is not spinning, or that we're on a flat Earth. What's so stupid about that is that people in Australia have a completely different constellation.
That's right, and the stars rotate the other direction around.
Yeah.
And the stars are all coming towards us from the east. So if you look north, they're going that way. If you look south, they're going that way. So they're rotating around the North Star, which actually isn't anything special. It's just the star that happens to be closest to the point, the North Point.
And it changes all the time.
If you zoom in, you can actually see there are stars that are even closer. And if you take a time lapse of the North Star, it actually makes a little circle.
Well, and also that North Star is not the same North Star
Yeah.
as in the past.
Yeah, because the axis of the Earth, there's this thing called precession where
Every 26,000 years, it wobbles.
That wasn't the same one in the past. Were you around 26,000 years ago to know what the last star was, Joe? You or your buddy Mick? Jeez, here we go. See, they like to continue with this. Oh, look up there. Look up there. See, I'm debunking flat Earth. Look up in the sky, you guys. The debunking flat Earth. Yeah, anything to stay away from the fact that there's no curvature down here. Because we beat you down here by showing you that there's no curvature. Jenniferado destroyed your website, so now you want to tell, look up there! Look away from the destruction! Look away from the fact that Jenna destroyed me! Look! Yeah, I don't care what the fuck the stars do. I really don't. I know that's something worth figuring out, in the future. But right now, at this moment, the curvature on the ground is the thing that wins and loses this argument. I don't care if pink elephants go around each other up there. And on that side, pink elephants, and on that side, orange elephants. It doesn't make the ground start curving. So Polaris being a giant monkey's ass doesn't change what the ground is doing. All right? So like I said, we're going to keep bringing up the stars in the sky and the constellations. And I know eclipses are coming because eclipses have to prove it. Down here, fellas, down here. The curvature either exists or does not exist down here. But everyone wants to talk about what's up there.
Today, with things like YouTube, where no one can stop you from making, you don't have to go through the people that work at NBC or Fox or whatever. You don't have to go through the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times editorial board where they have to review your paper and go, hey, you wrote a bunch of stuff that's not true. No, that doesn't have to happen anymore. now you can just make a video, and it can be really well done with good music and good images, and the way it's done can really influence a lot of people who don't have a background in science or are not curious about looking into the debunking version of it. Like, that's why whenever someone sends me something, I always say, just Google that, whatever you sent me, and then debunked. Just do that first.
Yeah.
And then look at both sides. You know, but people don't want that debunk. That debunk's not sexy.
Yeah.
The conspiracy's sexy.
I know people are turned off by that.
Yeah, you know, whenever someone comes at me with a conspiracy, I always just say, put that, and then put debunked.
Oh, really? So I guess 9/11 must not be a conspiracy because there are 9/11 debunk videos. There's a debunk video for every single conspiracy. Real conspiracies. And there's a debunk video for every single one of them. And there's a debunk video of the debunk videos. Are we okay to watch those too, Joe? Or only the specific debunk videos that you want us to watch? So if I watch a 9/11 conspiracy video, I have to, by your rule, go watch a 9/11 conspiracy debunk video. Am I then allowed to watch the debunking of that video that said it was debunked? Like right now, I'm debunking Mick West and your bitch ass, Joe. So I guess you need to make a debunking of my debunking of your debunking, huh? That's what I say. Go watch the debunking of the debunking of the debunking and then make your decision. Are you serious? You go watch the debunk thing. All conspiracies are not real because there's a debunking video. So I'd like you to go watch that debunking video. Please? Can I watch the debunking of the debunking video? No! Only watch the debunking video.